There used to be a 7-seat version of the Volkswagen Tayron called the Tayron Allspace. Now that car doesn't exist anymore, but there is this, the new Volkswagen Tayron. Now it's a similar car to the Tayron under the skin, but Volkswagen says the two models are different enough to deserve the new name. Now I don't know about you, but to my eyes perhaps Volkswagen's designers didn't get the memo, because this does look an awful lot like an enlarged Tayron. It's got a longer wheelbase, it has a larger rear overhang, and those two things together mean there's more space inside, room for 7 seats in most versions, and a bigger boot than you'll find in the Tayron. We've been driving the 1.5 litre mild hybrid petrol, and the question is this car worth the extra over the Tayron, and is it as good as our Tow Car Awards overall winner for 2025, the Skoda Kodiaq? Well as answering those questions, we'll find out how well the car drives every day, we'll have a thorough look inside the cabin, and we'll consider value for money and running costs before we deliver our verdict. For our towing test, we've borrowed a Coachman VIP 520 from Raymond James Caravans in Atherstone. Tayron buyers have a wide choice of engines. There's this engine, which is a 150 horsepower mild hybrid petrol, which powers the front wheels. If you want 4-wheel drive, there are a couple of more powerful petrols with the 4Motion 4-wheel drive system. There's also a 150 horsepower diesel with front wheel drive, and plug-in hybrid models, which particularly make sense for company car drivers. Now this version has the least pulling power of any of the engines in the range, and while it's up to the job of towing, it does have its work cut out a little bit towing a caravan. You do have to be patient getting up to speed. But while it's far from quick, the Tayron is very stable. Even in breezy weather or when passing HGVs, it feels planted and secure. Without a caravan, the Tayron is a satisfying if unexciting car to drive. With so much less weight, the 1.5 litre engine feels a lot more lively in solo driving. Load up with 7 people and their luggage though, and it's still going to be quite a steady performer. If you can live with the modest acceleration, the Tayron rides and handles very well. There is an optional adaptive suspension setup, which this car doesn't have. We're on the standard suspension. The optional setup is very good, but the standard setup is good enough. It's not an essential upgrade by any means. As well as driving well, the Tayron has plenty of space inside. So I know Volkswagen doesn't want the Tayron to be thought of as an XL sized Tayron, but that's very much the impression you get from the driver's seat. Everything looks very familiar if you've driven the Tayron or any other modern Volkswagen for that matter. There's the digital driver's display straight in front of you, which can be configured with different looks. You've got the new Volkswagen infotainment system, which is a big improvement over the previous generation. It's very bright and clear and quite easy to use, although it is a shame that Volkswagen has stuck with these touch sensitive pads for adjusting the temperature. And the Skoda Kodiaq, for example, which is obviously a very similar car under the skin, you have separate physical controls for the air conditioning. Another thing that I don't particularly like is having the gear selector on this wand here sprouting from the side of the steering column. It's not so much the gear selector itself that bothers me, it's that means all of the functions you'd normally have on your indicator and wiper stalks are bundled onto the left hand side, which means there's ever such a lot being controlled through that one stalk. Otherwise there's a lot to like. It's a fairly conservative design, but it's modern, it's neat, it's a pleasant place to be. There are some harder plastics lower down on the doors, but overall the standard of finish is good. The driving position is sound and comfortable for long drives. There's plenty of adjustment to both the seat and the wheel, and you get a decent amount of storage space. So there are big door bins, and they're lined with material so that things don't rattle around in there. You've got wireless charging pads, you've got USB-C chargers, twin cup holders here, more storage under the driver's armrest. So in general, it's a pleasant and practical environment. So that's the front of the car. Let's go and take a look in the back. So there's plenty of space back here. More than enough room for adults to travel very comfortably in the second row. You get good leg room, and there's plenty of headroom, which might not be the case if you go for a car with a panoramic sunroof. Those versions of the Tayron do have a bit less headroom in the back. It's very comfortable if there are two people across this middle bench. A third person wouldn't be quite so comfortable with the way the seat is shaped, and also with this big hump in the floor which would splay your feet if you're the middle passenger. But you do have air vents between the front seats to keep everyone at a comfortable temperature. There are separate aircon controls for those in the back here, and there are two USB-C ports to keep mobile phones and tablets charged up. As you'd expect, there are ISOFIX mounting points in the outer seats, and it's also worth noting that you do get ISOFIX mounting points on the front passenger seat as well, which is a really good feature if you ever have to travel with a young child on your own. Now, of course, one of the big differences between the Tayron and the smaller Tiguan is that there's a third row of seats back there. Now, it's relatively cramped. It's okay for adults on short journeys or maybe children on longer trips, and you can make it more accommodating by adjusting the position of the middle bench. You can slide back and forth, and you can adjust the angle of the backrest of the middle seats, which will make things a bit more accommodating for those travelling in the third row. But if you're going to use all 7 seats regularly, then do take a look at cars like the Kia Sorento as well. That's well worth taking a test drive before you settle on the Tayron as your choice of 7-seater. So that's the back of the car. Let's take a look in the boot. So, well, that's pretty good, isn't it? There's a lot of space in there, even with all 7 seats upright. You should easily find room for a typical weekly shop with the third row in place. And with the back seats lowered, you've got a huge amount of room. You can get a month's worth of supplies in there, or more likely a full load of holiday luggage. So that's very impressive. Another nice touch, there's room underneath the floor here to stow the parcel shelf. Now, when you want to lower the tow ball, you do so with a push of this button here. Just give that a flick and the tow ball drops down. The electrics are on the side where they're well clear of the bumper. Now, that drop-down tow ball costs just over £1,000, which is a lot of money, although it does include the trailer assist reversing aid. At the time of our test in the summer of 2025, the price of our elegant spec car before options is £42,700. That's £2,100 more than the equivalent Tiguan, but only a modest premium over the equivalent Skoda. In official tests, the car returns 44.1 mpg. On our towing test drive, we saw 25.4 miles to the gallon. Whether VW says so or not, the Tayron is the new Tiguan Allspace in all but name, and that's no bad thing. The Tiguan is a very good tow car, and so is the Tayron. However, we can't help but think that the range would be more appealing to caravanners if there were a diesel 4x4 version, and this particular car with the 1.5 litre petrol engine certainly has its work cut out pulling car and caravan. So there are probably better models within the Tayron range for regular towing, but even so, this is an impressive car.
When you've watched the video, please do subscribe to the Camping and Caravanning Club's channel if you haven't already. Click on the notification button and you'll never miss any of the club's tow car, caravan, camping and motorhome content. If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to click on the thumbs up button to like it and let us know what you think in the comments.